Thor really likes my chapstick. Hi, honey. How are you? Hello there, everybody. How's it going? It's Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I'm here with my next update on a Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, November the 2nd, 2016, and I make note of the fact that it's Wednesday because I don't remember the last time I actually recorded on Wednesday. For the longest time, I remember, I did take that big break there, but even before then, I was always missing Wednesday for one reason or another and recording on Thursday instead, despite the fact that I've told you guys that my schedule is Wednesday. But we're here, we made it, and we're recording. I am wearing one of my absolute favorite sweaters, hoping that this will tell Mother Nature, like, hey, it's fall, can we just, let it be fall? Because it's approximately 82 degrees outside today, in November, in the Northern Hemisphere. I don't get it, but, that's the way it is. Full disclosure, that sound that kind of resembles crunching plastic is in fact crunching plastic. Thor is directly behind you, chewing at a bottle. So we'll see what happens there. He's laying in the sunlight and chewing on his bottle, and he's a happy boy. He's probably gonna make an appearance because he has the attention span of a 4-year-old, which he is a 4-year-old. So he can't hold on to that for very long. So we'll see what happens. So as per usual, I have a bunch of things to talk about. We are now into November. We are just about over halfway through the elections challenge in Stitch Mania. And I've got a bunch of projects to show you. So, shall we get started? Let's get started. One thing that I wanted to talk about before I really got into showing projects and whatnot is I wanted to show you my tracking system. So, because I have so many WIPs, it's hard for me to know the last time that I worked on a thing. And I get curious about things like that. So I created this this thing on Excel. And I'm going to show you the October part 2. Because I have so many WIPs, I decided to break it up into parts, so 1 and 2. So the first 2 weeks and the second 2 weeks. And so here's what it is. So I have all of my WIPs listed here, and there's 2 pages because there's over 70 of them. Here is the designation of the last day that I worked on the piece at the start of this 2-week period. And so I went through my photos, and basically that's how I determined the last time that I worked on a thing. Some of these might be a day off or so, but in general, that's the last time that I worked on them. So then I have the dates on listed across the top there from the 16th through the 31st. And then you can see these little spots. These are the days that I actually worked on a project. So you can see that here on the 31st, I worked on my Darth Vader sugar skull, which I'm going to show you here in a second. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys that. Just a method for keeping track of stuff and things. Because I kind of like to see that. It's almost like a histogram to be able to see the stitching that I did in those last 2 weeks. And when you see the number of projects, it doesn't look like a whole lot, but there's over 20 spots there. So anyway, I just thought that I would show that to you guys. Just trying to keep track of things and stuff. Okay. And then I have that on just on a clipboard that I keep next to my stitchy spot. It's magnetized, so that's why you see those there. So, there's that. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is go over the Q&A. So I went through my most recent few videos here and I pulled any questions that that anybody had. So I'm going to go ahead and go over those. There's only a few. But the first one, for whatever reason, I keep tripping over my own words. So let's see if we can do this succinctly here. So Jade Lewis, her question starts as follows. I've recently started branching out at trying new fabrics. I normally only stitch on Aida, but prefer the look of even weave and linen. The thing that puts me off using these fabrics is not knowing when I would need to stitch 2/2 or 1/1. I'm currently stitching a Haid on even weave, and I'm doing it 1/1. Someone helped me and told me that this would be best for my pattern, and so far I'm really liking it. I couldn't just kit up a pattern myself though, as I would be totally stuck at knowing what to do with the amount of threads I would need to work over, and then working out how much fabric I would need to accommodate that. Is it possible you could explain this to me, please? Is there some sort of rule to follow when using different count fabrics? Okay, so first off, there's no hard and fast rule. I've seen people stitch 1/1 on 40 count and 2/2 on 14 count. So I mean, there's not necessarily a rule, but there is, shall we say, guidelines. So generally speaking, if I am stitching on 28 or 32 count and either even weave or linen, I'm stitching that 2/2. If I am stitching on 36, 40 count, or anything higher than that, I'm generally speaking stitching that one thread of floss over 2. And that's kind of the general consensus on what a lot of people will do. I have seen some that will only use one strand of floss over 2 on 32 count, but I don't care for the coverage with that as far as that's concerned. The exception there is Heaven and Earth Designs. I know, generally speaking, that people will stitch Heaven and Earth Designs 1/1. The reason for such is that the stitch counts on those patterns and patterns like them, such as Scarlet Quince, Tilton Crafts, Artisy, Charting Creations, generally speaking, those stitch counts are super high. So, for instance, one of my Heaven and Earth designs that I'm going to show you here in a bit is almost 300,000 stitches. If I was to stitch that over 2 on an even weave, it would be ginormous. I don't even think I could get a fabric that big. Maybe just barely. It would be just absolutely enormous. So, Heaven and Earth designs are generally the exception, where it's standard to stitch that over 1. Now, if you are looking at trying to kit up a pattern, let's say you're trying to kit up a pattern from J. Netley Mayhew's Cross Stitch Safari book, and you're like, I really like those giraffes. Aren't they pretty? I want to stitch that pattern. So here it says that the stitch count is 180 by 110. That means 180, it looks like Jane uses height by width. So essentially 180 stitches from top to bottom, 110 stitches from left to right. So you take that stitch count, you put that in your fabric calculator. From what I understand, there's an app for this. However, it seems to have been compromised and that it's giving misinformation. I don't use an app. I'm going to link it in the description box, but I use the fabric calculator on Yarn Tree. And in my experience, it's the most accurate. So I will input the stitch count in there and then tell it what kind of fabric I want to use. So it asks what count fabric. I want to use 32 count. So you input 32 count. The next segment asks, are you stitching this piece 1/1 or over 1 or over 2? As I said, generally speaking, 32 count is an over 2 situation, so I would put 2. Then it asks about margins and space for border. it has two separate sections for that. And I will typically delete both of those, and then I input 3 on one of them. So essentially, the calculation that it's going to give me then at the bottom, once I hit submit, the top row is the design area on 32 count. The bottom is the minimum fabric that I would need. So I'm going to input that example into the yarn tree calculator, and I'm going to insert a picture of that here so that you can see what I'm talking about. So that you can sort of get a general idea of how this fabric calculator works. It's my favorite. I use it almost exclusively. I could do the math. Basically, let's say you're stitching 100 stitches. If you're stitching it on 25 count, that means that you get 25 stitches per inch if you're stitching it over 1. So it would be 4 inches width, because 25 stitches per inch divided into 100 is 4. So it is totally possible to do the math. It's very simple math. I might not have explained it right. I need to be able to draw and write things. But I just use the fabric calculator, and it gives me accurate information. So I hope that helps. As I said, it's not a hard and fast rule, but that's kind of a general idea. 28, 32 count over 2, 36, 40 count over 2 using 1 thread of floss, Heaven and Earth Designs over 1 on 25, 28, or whatever count you're using. And my Heaven and Earth Designs are always over 1. Speaking of which, Pamela Spearing asks, I was wondering what kind of fabric you use for your heids. I use 25 count Lugana from Heaven and Earth Designs. Actually, or not from Heaven and Earth Designs, from Zweigart. Sorry about that. I don't have it here. Let me see. Yes, this one is. So this is fabric that I got from Hobby Lobby. I can't always get it from Hobby Lobby because they only have the 18 by 27 cut, but it is a Lugana, and it has the orange stripe from Zweigart. I have purchased Lugana from Witchelt before, and I don't like it as much. I don't understand what the difference is, because obviously that fabric refers to the content. I don't understand how the two companies can be different, but what have you. I prefer 25 count Lugana from Zweigart. Pamela and Jade, thank you so much for your questions, by the way. I do appreciate it, and I hope that helps. All right. Mariana Mori asks, Jessie, could you please show or tell us how you store your whips? Do you keep whips in folders or boxes? Do you store them all together or separate whips for the current month or week? I'm expanding the amount of whips I have, and I feel a little overwhelmed with the storage. Right now they're all over the house, and sometimes I can't even find the one I need. So, Mariana, this is something that I've struggled with for a really long time. It took me a long time to figure out my own storage, and that's the thing with storage. It has to work for you. I know that there are some people, I know particular Sherry, she has projects, Sherry Burkett has projects all over her house so that if she's in a particular room, she has a project there to work on. That won't work for me because I'll inevitably forget that I have a project in my office and run around like a chicken with my head cut off. Oh my gosh, I lost my chatelaine. So that's not what I do. So first of all, your first question, how do you store your whips? So each one of my whips is stored in an envelope like this. This is a memory keeper from Hobby Lobby, and I got it out of the scrapbooking section. It is only found at Hobby Lobby. You can order them online from the Hobby Lobby website if you're interested, but they almost always have them on sale in the stores as well if you have access to one. it's a scrapbooking envelope. So generally speaking, these are used by scrapbookers because it is I believe it's 12 by 12. And so my whip goes in here. So you can see on the back I have the fabric, and on the front I have my ring with my threads on it. This one in particular doesn't have the chart in it because the chart is in a book, and this book is being shared by another project. And I don't really like to put the book in here. However, if we are talking my Faces of Fairy, you can see that that chart is right there. And I have the cover on the very front of the envelope, so that when I'm flipping through all 75 of my projects here, I can see, oh, that's Faces of Fairy 201. This one I can tell because the name of the project is on the card for the floss, and Nov Q means November quilt. So I know that designation. So first thing, each whip is in one of these. Then my whips are all in these. So this is, it is a box that I found at Hobby Lobby, and I have 3 of them. They are the exact same. Let's see. This is the 17 3/4 by 15 by 9.5 inches size, and it fits these envelopes pretty securely. So you see that they fit width pretty well, and I can flip through them. Set that back over there. So I have those 3 stacked up over here. So when I am stitching, I have my stitching spot, which is way over there. When I'm done working on a project, I will lay it against the wall. That's the projects that I'm going to show in my next video. Then, once we're done here with this video, those projects that I don't need anymore get rewrapped up and put in alphabetic order in these boxes that are right here. And there are all 3 right there. So I keep them all together. I will pull the next ones. So before I got set to do this video here, I pulled these projects, which are the ones that I need for this coming week. I'll set those against that wall, and as I work through them, move them to a different section to show in my next video. Obviously, that's not necessary. That's not a necessary step if you don't do the videos. It's not a necessary step regardless, but that's a necessary step for me. So yes, they're alphabetic. One of these boxes is designated to my Year of Whips. So all of those projects that I chose for Year of Whips challenge for this next year is in one particular box. I just wanted to make sure that I had that separate so that if I am in the mood to stitch whatever's calling me, I start with that box because these are the projects that I absolutely want to finish by next year. So that is that. And I will take a picture of the 3 of them lined up and insert that here so that you can see sort of all of them sitting there. They look like they could fit a lot more, but that's because I have a bunch of projects that are pulled out. I would say that each of these boxes holds about 20 to 25 depending on what's in the envelope, because some of these envelopes hold a lot. For instance, this is the one for the 20-year celebration by Passione Ricomo. You can see that this one is expanded almost completely because there are so many different colors of threads for this project, and the pattern is a book, so not to mention the fabric is a fat hat, so it takes up a lot of space. Whereas Afternoon in New York is very little because that fabric is only a fat 1/8. It's a very little chart and just a few threads. So So there we have it. I hope that that helps you, Mariana, excuse me. I know that you said that you were in Switzerland, and so you may not have access to Hobby Lobby, but I'm sure that there are alternatives. I know that there are some who get envelopes very similar to this from Amazon, and these are just standard home decorative boxes. So if you don't have access to that, I'm sure that there's an alternative. Okay, now the last question is going to take a little bit more of a response, and this is from Hazel Day. And Hazel says, I currently park in columns and would love to try it in rows. Could you try and explain your method or do a video at some point? My plan is to do a video at some point. I am going to talk to Danny and see if we can't finagle some way of recording me stitching so that I can do a demonstration, because I have received this question a few times, and I think that it's time that I show you guys how I stitch Heaven and Earth Designs. So I'm going to try to make that happen this weekend. If not, I'll figure something out. I'll find some way of explaining that a little bit better. Basically, it's a 10 by 10 block. You work this one, then this one, then this one. But nonetheless, I will do my best to do a video. So everybody, thank you so much for your questions. Again, if you have questions, feel free to ask them, and I'll be happy to answer them next go around. We did it! Okay, so let's go ahead and get started talking projects. Because we are just over halfway through the Stitch Mania Elections Challenge, I've got this sort of split up. So I'm going to talk about whips, future plans for whips, and then the challenge, future plans for the challenge. So let's just start from the top. The first project that I worked on last I saw you was my horror movie alphabet, and I was working on this for the Stitch Mania. It was, see, now I have the new monthly sal in my head. The monthly sal for October was called Babs and Smalls, We Love Them All. There we go. Okay. My fourth project was the horror movie alphabet by Clouds Factory. You'll be seeing a preview of the finished piece here. And so I was working on this for about an hour every day-ish until the end of the month. So I'm going to insert here a preview of what it looked like the last time that I showed it to you. And here is what it looks like today. So I believe the last time I showed it to you, and I can't believe that I don't remember fully because it's only been a few days, but hey. Last time I spoke to you guys, I had the text done there. So what I did was I finished up the very first character, Jack Attack. And hindsight is 2020. I really should have waited to do Jack Attack. Why? Because creepy clowns creep me out. And now he is permanently there. He's a jack-o'-lantern. Or, not a jack-o'-lantern. Jack-in-the-box. But nonetheless, creepy clown looking. And you see those sharp teeth? Sharp, bloody teeth? Ugh. Ooh. And then I also did a little bit of Ghostface there, who is the villain for the Scream series. If you hear Thor snoring, he's up in the bed snoring now. So I did a little bit of Ghostface. And that was it. Now the thing about Jack Attack is that he is so colorful. So that's why this was the last character that I could get done, because he uses so many different colors. There's even 2 different colors of red. So that's that. So this will make a reappearance here for something. I can't remember what it is just yet. And I'm stitching this on 32 count Lycan's Moon by Under the Sea Fabrics. So there we have it. Okay, so then the next project that I worked on was my Be Thankful. And this is for the Be Thankful It's Friday sal with Stitching May. I ended up working on this Saturday evening after my last video. So I'm going to insert a preview here of what it looked like last time. And here is what it will look like finished. Live, love, laugh, be thankful. And here's where it stands currently. So I finished up the word laugh, and then I carried some of the branch there a little bit. And I'll be honest, you guys, I had a hard time putting this down. I know. It's hard to believe because this is on 14 Count Fiddler's Ada. And you guys will know that Ada is not my favorite anymore, but I had a hard time. So there is Laugh. And this project is going to get quite a bit more love. It is my focus piece this month as well as every Friday, so there's Be Thankful. Okay. I am packing up as I go because the bulldog's nap is only temporary. Okay. Up next, let's see. It's like a surprise for all of us. Okay, so then on November 1st, so yesterday, started my week 1 of my rotation. Week 1 of my rotation is my Sal's week. And this month it is the Postcards from the World and the Fantasy Sal by Lakeside Needlecrafter in Jones. So I'm going to insert a preview here of what my Fantasy Sal looked like the last time we saw it. And I have made some progress on this month's block, but if you can believe it, I'm not quite done yet. So this month's block is a goblin. And the thing about this stitch along is that it is, okay, so the characters are fantastical. However, what the characters are doing or the scenery that they're in is related to UK events or the seasons in the UK. So when this block first came out, I didn't understand the fireworks. However, I have since done a little bit of research, and it has to do with Bonfire Night, which takes place on November the 5th every year. And I guess there's a lot of fireworks, much like Independence Day here on July the 4th. So that explains the fireworks. That explains why he's holding a sparkler, and there's fireworks going off. So there's that. Now this piece I am stitching on 32 Count Heroic by Picture This Plus. And as I said, there's been progress. It's not quite done yet. I have a thread hanging, which I forgot about. So there is my little goblin who looks so much like Yoda. And also I keep referring to him as a gremlin. So I don't know. So that's what the piece looks like thus far. And I will continue working on him. I expect to finish him either today or tomorrow if I can get my Stitchy Bug in gear. So yeah. So that is the Fantasy Sal, and I absolutely love this. I got past the biggest hurdle with this block, and that is the wide expanse of pale green in the center. And you'll see that I'm stitching that part 2/2. Somebody asked me if I was going to do that 1/1, and I said no, I'm going to do it 2/2 because it's the human-like characters, the humanoid characters, that I will do the skin 1/1. But he will be 2/2. In part for my own sanity, because all but a vest and a scarf and some gloves, he's practically naked. So, see? There's even a belly button. He's super cute. Okay. Okay, and then next I will be starting on my Postcards from the World. This month we are in Vancouver. And I haven't started the block yet, but just as a preview of what it looks like currently. So there's that. Looking forward to stitching that up here in the next couple days. Okay, then next Tuesday starts week 2 of my rotation. So week 2 of my rotation is typically a Heaven and Earth Designs week. However, it's a little bit different this go around because for the monthly sale in Mania, I'm doing Heaven and Earth Designs Crazy Month. I decided to not do Heaven and Earth Designs for my week 2. So I'm instead doing 2 focus for finished pieces. So the first of which is my Under the Moonlight by Passione Ricamo. And I'll insert a preview here of what she will look like finished. And I haven't worked on her in quite some time. And as is the case with all Passione Ricamos, like I was saying on Saturday, it's huge. It's on a fat half of fabric. So there she is currently. Oh, she's gorgeous. So I have some skin to be doing, as always. I'm always working on skin. So the fabric here is a 32 count Belfast linen in Lady of the Lake by Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. Beautiful blues and purples. And so I will work on her skin this upcoming rotation week. And then I'm really hoping I can get her skin finished. It looks like a lot, but it's really not. She has a lot of hair. And so, it's still quite a bit of skin. So we'll see. I'm not going to make any grand plans or grand statements about what I'm going to get done. So there is that. And so I will show you my couple days update next week. Okay, next, let's move on to the monthly Mania sale. So the monthly Mania sale this month for November is something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. So I'm doing Heaven and Earth Designs. My week 1 project is my something old, which is my oldest Heaven and Earth design. And that is, in this moment, artwork by Jeremiah Kettner. There it is. Couldn't find my envelope to show you the cover piece. So this is what she will look like finished. I will insert a preview here of what it looked like the last time I showed it to you. And here is where we are currently. Okay. Got this currently on my largest scroll frame, so forgive all of the stuff and hanging threads. So the last time you saw this, I had the first page done, and since this week, I have done the first 2 blocks on page 2. Really, tons of progress. I had a failing stitchy bug last night. Really, all day yesterday I wasn't feeling the stitching. But I did get those first 2 blocks done. And so I will continue working on this for about an hour, give or take. It may get some extra time here and there this week for the old, new, borrow blue. So there's that. And I'm just going to roll this up real quick. This, like I said, is on 25 count Lugana. You can see the orange stripe over here. Okay. Tack that there. All right. Next. So then, like I said, I'm going to be working on that up until next Tuesday. Next Tuesday starts week 2, which is the new. So this is my newest Heaven and Earth design, which is Faces of Fairy 201. This project was started for Mania. And the artwork is by Jasmine Beckett Griffith. And here is what it looks like currently. So that's where we're at currently. So I have this block to finish up and then to work my way down. Hoping to get at least halfway down that page, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so let's move on to the Stitch Mania Elections Challenge. I'm going to go through the projects that I've worked on these last few days for that challenge. And the first is the project that I worked on Sunday. So that project was Rose Fairy by Joan Elliott. And this was for the Make Whips Great Again was the prompt. And the task was to work on the project that you haven't worked on in a long time. And so I had picked the project that I hadn't worked on yet this year. It was the only project of such distinction. And so there we have it. So I'm going to insert a preview here of what it looked like the last time I showed it to you. This project is on a 28 count Lugana in Confetti by Picture This Plus. And here is the progress that I made. So I made some pretty decent progress. And the reason for that is that I'm obsessed with Joan Elliott. I just adore it. So you can see I finished up this purple tendril here. Then I did the pink one all the way down to its end. And then I started work on the next purple one. So quite a bit of good progress was made on that day. We watched the Redskins play in the morning, which was ridiculous. Nothing like a tie game. Then we watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie, the second movie, in the afternoon, but I stitched the majority of the rest of the time. So there is my Rose Fairy, and she's coming back out before too long too, for some more progress. I have a lot of work to do to finish her up for the Year of Whips. I mean, we're just talking, I'm in this region. I haven't even touched the flowers or anything, really. So there is that. Okay, so then on Monday, the task, the prompt was D is for Democrat. And so we were tasked with stitching on a project related to the letter D. So I decided to work on my Darth Vader Sugar Skull by Stitchline. And you'll be seeing a preview here of what this will look like finished, as well as what it looked like the last time that I showed it to you. And this I'm stitching on a 32 count linen in Stormy Clouds by Zweigart, which means it's a printed fabric. So there's color on the front, but not on the back. So this is the progress that I made. This was the start of the decline of my Stitchy Bug. So I only got a big section of eyelid done, and that was all of the stitching that I did that day. This was on Halloween, and I was watching Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, so I'm sure many of you Harry Potter fans are going, Troll in the Dungeon. And so it was pretty great working on a sugar skull. It's Halloween. I'm eating candy corn. Just stitching away. I love this project. I am stitching it using DMC 3799. And I have such a blast working on this. I might just, well, if my Stitchy Bug is going to be as temperamental as it has been these last couple of days, I might just give this some more time because I do really enjoy stitching on it. So there's that. And that's making an appearance later this month, actually. Okay. Next was yesterday's task. And yesterday's task was, the prompt was primary elections. And it was to work on a project that has the least amount of progress, excuse me. So, as of yesterday, my in this moment was 2.83%. Finished a block yesterday, so I moved up to 2.86% complete. Wow. Yeah, it's a really big project, and I don't have a whole lot done yet. So that's why I used it then. Okay, today the prompt is R is for Republican, and everything in me wanted to do R is for Rory. If you watch American Horror Story, then you know what that is. But I didn't have any American Horror Story related pieces, so I am working on my Mirabilia Raven Queen. And I have done some of the progress on this so far, but not quite all of it yet. I still have a little bit more to do. So here's a preview of what she looked like the last time I showed it to you. And here is what she looks like today. Does anybody see the face in it still? Yeah, me too. But I decided it's not Hitler, it's Charlie Chaplin. That makes me feel better, just thinking it's Charlie Chaplin. So I am working in this big chunk of black down here, and really what I want to do is finish that chunk of black today. So I'm not timing myself, I'm just going to get that done and call it a day. And I might even work up in here in Charlie's face so that he looks less like Charlie Chaplin and more like a dress. So there we have it. This is on a 32 count Belfast in Haunted by Picture This Plus. You can kind of see the green showing a little bit, but it looks okay for this project. And this is on my Millennium. Okay, so tomorrow the prompt has to do with campaign signage, and so we're to work on something with text or has a banner or something like that. So I am working on July by the Cricket Collection. Patriotic, the elections had to fit in here somewhere, right? And it says July, so there's text. So I am stitching this project on I believe it's a 28 count. Yes, 28 count Confederate gray cashel linen. And this is one of my Year of Whips pieces that is very close to done. So you can see I have some of the Y left to fill out, and obviously all of the details in the Y. There are some sparklers in between each of the letters that I have yet to do, and some back stitching. And then it's done. Very close to finished on this one. So I will work on this tomorrow and see what I can get done in a day. All of the interruptions today. You'd think it was November or something and we're getting ready for the holidays. Yeah. Okay. Next, the prompt has to do with the White House. And so we are to stitch on something that has white, or something with a house, or something with the White House. I am going with my August quilt, and this is by Paula Vaughn. It's from the Quilts for All Seasons. And let me show you here what it will look like finished. It is this one right here. So you can see it's generally speaking, a white quilt, and in the background there's a house. There we go. I am stitching this on a 32 count Belfast linen in cream from Zweigart. And here is where I am currently with this project. I love this. I'm so excited to get some time with this project this week. Here in a couple days. And we will see what I can accomplish. I'm probably going to work some on the siding of the house there. And maybe down into the quilt a bit. there is that. I haven't worked on this project since March. No, not even. I think it's February the last time. So, really looking forward to getting back into that. So I will work on that. Okay, next. Somewhere in here, in this moment, we'll make an appearance on Saturday for the Electoral College, the 270. We're supposed to stitch something related to 270. If I can, I'm going to try to put 270 stitches into that piece. Or, no, excuse me, 270 minutes into that piece. 4.5 hours. We'll see. And then also on Friday, I is for Independent. I will be working on Be Thankful by Imaginating. And I think that's all the ones that I was supposed to mention that I totally forgot to mention. Okay. Next, on Monday the 7th, the prompt is GOP, Grand Ole Party, and we are to stitch on something that's kind of a party. So I will be working on Double Double by the Prairie Schooler. And it looks like they're having a party. I believe that I justified it that they must be brewing something for a party. So there you have it. And I'm stitching this on a 30 count parchment linen by Weeks Dye Works. And that's the progress that I have currently. So I will try to work on our party goers here on Monday. And then on Tuesday. Tuesday's a big day, you guys. If you're in the United States and you're over the age of 18, go vote. I won't tell you who to vote for, because I'm not supposed to. I want to, but I won't. But go vote. Civic duty. It's your right as an American citizen. Go do it. Okay, rant over. 32 count Belfast linen. The project that I'm working on for this, the prompt was, it's election day, so something related to November, something related to the number 8. I'm working on my November quilt by Paula Vaughn. And that is this one right here. And so 32 count Belfast linen in cream by Zweigart. Current progress here. You may be able to see some of the stitching there actually in the quilt, so I will work more in the quilt itself. Fortunately, our polling location is here in our neighborhood, so, and we're going to go really early so that we can get our votes in and not have to deal with major crowds, hopefully. So yeah, that's the plan for Tuesday. And I will work on that on Tuesday, like I said. And that is the end of the election challenge. Sad to see the challenge go, but like Katie said, to kind of echo what she said, I'll be ready when this election is over. It's a little nerve-wracking, but I will do my part to ensure the result that I am after. Okay, enough about that. So those are the projects that I have worked on. They're my plans for the upcoming week. Let's talk about our last two things, and that is a little bit of haul and a little bit of books. So first thing, some retail therapy. I have some new needle minders. These are both from Nifty Needle Nannies, and I didn't mention it last week, but Groot also came from Nifty Needle Nannies, and her shop is always linked in my description box, so if you want to find that. So I got these two, and this one over here is that teardrop pendant looking one with the skeleton holding a spider. It looks like he's playing with the spider like a yo-yo, so that's kind of fun. And then this one over here is a raven, and it kind of, okay, so Julie says that these are Game of Thrones inspired. It doesn't look like anything that I've actually seen as far as Game of Thrones is concerned, but it gives me sort of the thought of The Night's Watch. So there's that. And I have a thing for ravens right now, so there's that. You can imagine what piece that's going on. Like the Raven Queen. Now, Julie sent out these packages for Halloween, and so I was going to show all of that to you, but I ate all the candy already. We don't get trick-or-treaters because we live on the main road of our neighborhood, and so the kids can't trick-or-treat down our main road, so we don't get any candy for the kids, so there's no leftovers. So I ate all the candy. Sorry. But she did send a freebie little needle minder, and it's this super cute and sparkly white pumpkin, and it's glare. So that's really cute, along with this little note saying happy fall. So happy fall to you, Julie, and thank you so much for that. Thanks for the candy that I wouldn't otherwise have. Danny totally stole the Milky Way, which is fine because I don't like Milky Ways. So yeah, yay. I have another needle minder, but it's in my mailbox and I forgot to go get it, so I will show that next week. Okay, and that's it for the retail therapy. Not a whole lot, just some needle minder madness. The last thing that I have to talk about is books. First of all, some Stitcher's Book Club updates. We are moving to a bi-monthly books of the month. So essentially, there will still be 2 books for each of our categories, for each of our genres. However, we're going to do it over a 2-month span. So the books that I talked to you guys about last week, Princess Bride and Etiquette and Espionage, we're going to be reading those books through the end of December, so through the end of the year. And the reason for that is that a Stitcher's Book Club, I mean, we're Stitchers, we don't have a whole lot of time to read, not to mention it's the holidays, so it's even harder to find time to read. Not everybody is able to keep on such a pace. So we're just going to move to bi-monthly, and we're going to do that indefinitely. It gives people more of a chance to get a hold of the books as well as have the time to read them. So that's the plan. So then, in my own reading, I finished up His Majesty's Dragon by Naomi Novik. I believe I finished that Saturday night, actually, and I really, really liked it. I already got the second book on audio to start that maybe in December, but I really liked it, and it sets up for the rest of the series. I think the whole series is like 9 books long, with the 9th book having been released just last year. So quite an extensive series, and I am enjoying it. It wasn't a perfect read because there's some weird things about the ending that kind of bugged me, and Lawrence and Temeraire's relationship has some moments that kind of, I don't know, weird me out a little bit. But I really do enjoy it. I enjoy the story, and I enjoy the history of it, so looking forward to seeing what else is in store. So since I finished that up on Saturday, I actually started in a new audiobook today, and that is Inferno by Dan Brown. The film for Inferno actually just released, and apparently it bombed. It didn't do very well. But I love the Robert Langdon series. I loved Angels and Demons and Da Vinci Code. Lost Symbol wasn't great, but as far as the book is concerned, but I want to continue on with the series. Dan Brown just recently announced that a 5th book is coming called Origin, or Origins. I can't remember if it's plural. Anyway, and so I thought, well, if I'm going to see the movie eventually, I may as well read the book. So I started the audiobook here this morning. It's about a 17-hour long audiobook, so that will keep me occupied for a little while. So yeah, first hour in, so far I'm enjoying it. It's got that mystery aspect that you expect from a Dan Brown novel, so far so good. And that's it. I'm still reading A Tyranny of Petticoats, but once I'm finished with that, then I'll get to work on my Books of the Month for Stitcher's Book Club. And yeah, so that's all that I have for you here today. Thanks everybody so much for watching. Thank you so much to my subscribers. You guys are amazing, and Thor and I both really appreciate it. I don't think I'm going to try to get that video recorded this weekend if I can. If I can't, then I will see you guys next Wednesday. And take care. Bye-bye.